Welcome on into the Wolverine basketball show. Clayton Sayfie here with you. Another late night pod after another Michigan blowout victory. Can we get some likes on the video? Let's get to 150 likes on this one because Michigan beat Gonzaga 101 to 61. Michigan hoists the bedazzled basketball of a trophy, and Michigan has now made an extra $1 million in NIL for the roster, winning the Players Era Championship. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get some comments going in the comments as well. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. What was your biggest takeaway from the game? Where is this team headed? All sorts of things. Whatever your thoughts are on this team, would love to read all that in the comments. But this is incredible what's happening with this Michigan basketball team. 3 straight blowout wins out in Las Vegas. They come back, they have a little bit of time off, and then next Saturday, December 6th, Michigan will take on Rutgers to open Big Ten play, and they are more than ready, it appears, at this point. Um, you can't help but laugh. Like, I think a lot of us were doing that throughout the game, watching, right? I think a lot of you can kind of resonate with that. And it's similar to a lot of the other games this year, all 3 of them this week, where it doesn't really matter who Michigan's playing. The opponent kind of looks the same, right? They're overmatched. They're typically undersized. I mean, this one had good size, but it almost looked like they didn't because of just how big and tough and physical and skilled Michigan is. And now they're 7-0. They're number 1 in the country on KenPom. They look like a legit national title contender, although we're sitting here in the early part of the morning on November 27th, so there's still a long way to go. But Michigan not only made a statement out in Las Vegas, like we talked about last night, but they have now become in the upper echelon in the sport. And maybe they were that coming in, we just didn't know it yet, but they've proved it now against some really good teams, right? San Diego State, they go out on Tuesday after getting blown out by Michigan. They win big over Oregon. Auburn, they beat St. John's by 11 points tonight after getting destroyed by Michigan by 30 points. So these are quality teams. We'll see how good they are, but this was a historic loss for Gonzaga. They lost 9 games last year, Gonzaga. None of them were by double digits. So this is their first double-digit loss in 2 seasons. Comes by 40 points at the hands of what looks to be an elite Michigan team. In the last 10 years, they've lost just 15 games by double digits. This is the second loss by 20 or more points since 2011, 2012. And this is the worst loss in terms of margin of victory for Gonzaga this century. So, whatever way you want to put it, Michigan did something to Gonzaga that very few teams do. Nobody has done this century. Their last 20-point loss came in the Elite Eight to Connecticut, who ended up winning the national championship a couple of years ago. So those are the types of teams that are blowing them out. Every year is different for Gonzaga, but this does look like a good team, especially that front line, but just completely dominated. We'll talk about that in just a second. But now you have all sorts of people noticing what Michigan has done. Jeff Goodman, Field of 68, says, I've been covering college basketball for 20 plus years and have never, ever seen a team absolutely dominate 3 teams in 3 consecutive days like this. This is absolutely incredible. The research team over at ESPN says Michigan's the first team in the AP poll era since 1948-49 with consecutive 30-point wins, both coming against ranked opponents. Of course, Michigan blowing out number 21 Auburn 102-72 on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday night, they blow out number 12 Gonzaga 101-61. And Michigan goes over 100 points for the second straight game. Michigan over 100 points for the third time this season. The Oakland game with 121 was the first time that they did that. 1.26 points per possession. Shoot 69.7% on twos. 48.1% on threes. They make 13 of them in this one. Free throws, they left 9 of those out there to be had, 16 of 25, but it could have been worse, I guess. But, it didn't end up mattering. This Michigan team is doing what Dusty May set out to do, beginning with what he talked about last year. And last year he said, we're going to win the games with defense, rebounding. We want to take care of the ball. Now, they didn't do those things good enough last season, but that was the formula. And we're gonna win doing all these different things well enough. And if we make our shots, that just determines the margin of victory. And that formula worked to an extent a year ago. I think that formula is working night after night this year for Michigan, because they're starting to hit their threes. They make double-digit triples in each of the last 3 games, and that has led to blowout wins because they're defending well, they're rebounding well, they're taking care of the ball, they're hitting their shots at the rim. It's hard to stop this team at the rim. It's hard to get anything at the rim. And that's another one of this team's formulas. I wrote after the game that these bigs are terrorizing opponents when it comes to, the glass, dominating the boards when it comes to defense in the paint. 2-point defense, 2-point offense. Those are 2 things that we've stressed, and I wrote about after Michigan landed Adai Mara and Morez Johnson Jr. in the offseason. Michigan will be really good inside the arc on both ends. And then again, to kind of stick with this theme, when you start hitting your shots from outside the arc, that's when you can separate. And Michigan has done that the last 3 nights. It's led to comfortable wins. It's led to beat Ohio chance. It's led to we want Charlie May chance, because you have that luxury because you're up so big. And it leads to everybody having a great time and a really fun watch for Michigan. So top 10 in the country right now in 2-point field goal shooting percentage at 63.9%. Top 10 in the country in 2-point defense, 36.9%. That's second in the country. And Michigan has shot over 61% on twos in all but 1 game, and they've held opponents, all 7 of those opponents, to under 43% shooting from 2-point range. So that differential on a normal night, 61% to 43%, that's where Michigan is winning basketball games. They're also doing it on the glass. They're also doing it in other ways. They're hitting their threes. But that is Michigan's cheat code, as Dusty May has continued to talk about in our M Hoops 1 over on our message board over at thewolverine.com, has referred to that as their cheat code as well, because the size, it has to be, because you have that size. You built the roster this way, but we're seeing it come together on pretty big stages here early on in the season. Michigan, 21 of 26 from the rim, at the rim. Gonzaga, 42%, 42.3% on twos, 8 of 21 at the rim. Less than 50% for another night. Michigan just continuing. Again, it doesn't matter who they're playing right now. The other teams look the same. The results are the same. Under 45% on twos, under 50% at the rim. They're having to shoot those little floaters like Huff did a couple times in this game. They got him with those, but guess what? It's two points a few times a game. And not that many players are good at that shot anyway. That little pop, floater shot from a big guy. TKR from Purdue is. It's something to look out for, but Michigan will game plan against it. Against these other teams, they're taking it because they can't get anything else that's easy. Michigan with 8 blocks in this game. That's 15.4% of Gonzaga's shots. Morez Johnson Jr. with 3. Yaxel Lendeborg with 2. Adai Mara with 2. Roddy Gale with 1. And that's another big factor, too. These guys do not want their shot pinned against the backboard and Michigan going the other way. And we saw Michigan get out in transition in this game. Thought Yaxel Lendeborg ran well. I thought Elliot Cadeau ran the show in that regard. Michigan on the defensive end, just relentless again with the energy, the intensity, assignment sound. The switching is super crisp. It was something that maybe wasn't all the way there coming into Las Vegas, and now we're seeing it executed at a really high level. Gonzaga, 13.6% on threes. That's 3 of 22. They also left some free throws on the table themselves, 8 of 25. But 0.76 points per possession, that's their lowest points per possession mark since the game that we mentioned earlier, 2023, in the Elite Eight against Connecticut, who ended up winning the national championship. Michigan has the ability to take opposing forwards out of the game. It doesn't look fun to be an opposing big man going up against Michigan. Graham Ike, you put him in that category tonight, averaging 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2.7 assists coming into the game. He was held to 1 point on 0 of 9 shooting from the field, no rebounds, no assists, effectively taken out of the basketball game. One of the better bigs in the country, someone who came in, and it's early, but someone who came into this game ranked number 4th in the country in Ken Palm's National Player of the Year watch list. They kind of rank, the efficiency of each player, who's playing the best. And he came in 4th, somebody who's competing to be an All-American up there with some of Michigan's guys, including Axel Lendeborg, who was really the star of this game. We go back 16 days ago from right now, 15 days ago from when this game began, and people were talking about what is going on with the Axel Lendeborg. The Wake Forest game was a rough watch and was not what a lot of people expected it to be. He didn't look comfortable. No one knew what his role was, all these different things. A couple weeks later, they've played 5 games since. He's been the Ken Palm MVP in 4 out of those 5 games. He made the big plays down the stretch against TCU. Then he comes to Las Vegas, Ken Palm MVP in all 3 of those games. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 4 steals, 4 of 4 from 2, 2 of 5 on threes, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, which is huge, and made some electric plays. Like, we're seeing some highlights. Sometimes you go years without seeing some of the highlights that we've seen this week from this Michigan club. The LeBron James-esque dunk where he kind of cranks it to the side, dunks it to the side of his head. Incredible. Was watching SportsCenter, was doing some writing after the game, and number 4 on the top 10 plays. I didn't know anyone still watched that. I guess I'm in a, maybe a rare air, I guess, tonight, but they're still doing the top 10 plays over there if you haven't tuned in. And his one-handed slam in transition made it. He was electric. My favorite play maybe of the season so far, and maybe this is just a little bit of recency bias, but the contested shot, Elliot Cadeau's straight up, Gonzaga player floats one up. Merez Johnson comes out of nowhere, blocks it right to Yaxel Lendeborg. Michigan gets going on the break. Elliot Cadeau brings it up. Yaxel gets it back, goes down the lane, and has that one-handed jam. That's the one that made the number 4 on SportsCenter's top 10. But that it's one of my favorite plays of the season because it encapsulates so much. I think Michigan's doing a great job defending without fouling. Some weird whistles tonight. Terrible challenge call on the challenge. It was a great challenge by Dusty May. He won the challenge. They just didn't give him the basketball. He actually did lose the challenge, but I mean the evidence was there. But either way, they're defending without fouling, and what we're seeing is the rim protection and the shot blocking is standing out each and every time down the floor. They get out in transition. Yaxel makes a splash play. Just the energy he's playing with, the way he's, holding up the Michigan on his jersey and having pride playing for this team. He was a fan favorite, I think, when he stepped on campus, when people paid attention to the interviews, interviewing him at the Combine, interviewing him over the summer at a golf event that he was at. I mean, he is awesome to talk to and root for, and his story is amazing. He's becoming that guy that we talked about it with Roddy Gale last night, maybe the heartbeat of this team. Yaxel Lendeborg is right up there too with it. Elliot Cadeau, 13 assists, had 14 in the opener against Oakland, so this is one off of his career high, but he's going to have a lot of these double-digit assist nights. He's going to have at least a handful more, I think, this season, because there are times when he could have a lot more than he does, and guys just don't make the shot. But when guys are making the shots, a lot of times he's the one that's getting it to him. So he ran the show. He plays with pace. That is coming together. Michigan's guard play is maybe the question mark. It's still at a high level, but you're looking at things that, okay, what's better? It's clearly the front court. But when you see the guards play the way they have this week, Elliot Cadeau, hit a 3, continues to shoot some of those deep ones. I think they're telling him to shoot, for spacing purposes and scouting report purposes. Namari Burnett, what can you say about 4 for 4 from 3? You love what you saw there. Trey McKinney, 3 of 5 from 3. A couple nights ago on Monday night, I think it was, right? That was the night where he didn't make his shots and people were complaining online about Trey McKinney. He's going to come in. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to shoot a lot. Some of the times, you wish he maybe didn't shoot that early in the shot clock, but there are going to be nights when he knocks them down, and it's going to change the game for you, like it did the last couple nights here. And some of those late, they didn't even really necessarily need them, but you like to see Winter's Grady get a few off. He got 5 threes off late in the game when he came in. Will Cheddar with 2 threes. You're spreading the production out, and it's Cheddar, Trey McKinney, and Namari Burnett. Those are your 3 best 3-point shooters. If they can get going and each of them can hit multiple threes in a game, your chances of winning are really good, because I think you're going to be doing a lot of other things well throughout the game all season long. Now it's the hard part. Where do you go from here? You just blasted 2 teams by 40, 1 team by 30, all quality opponents. Dusty May talked on Tuesday night about one of the teams he had when he was an assistant at Florida and how they won a preseason tournament. And when they got back to Gainesville, it was just never the same. They had to refocus. He felt like the locker room got a little bit ahead of themselves as far as, how good of a team they were. And they just didn't play with, they almost lost to Loyola Chicago at home coming up the next weekend, I believe he said. So, these dynamics can change. These are human beings we're dealing with, 18 to 23 or 4-year-old human beings at this point, with some of the age Michigan has on this team. So they have to handle this the right way. And that starts with the flight home from Las Vegas. The good thing is Michigan works on this stuff. They call it mental conditioning, where they decide in advance how they're going to react to different situations, whether that's, hey, we're dealing with a bunch of injuries. How are we going to step up? Or, one guy's not playing well. How are we going to react and pick him up instead of blame him and point fingers? Or I'm getting a bunch of NBA draft buzz. What do I do now? They're not caught off guard by these things because they talk about them in advance and decide what their action's going to be or their reaction's going to be. So it's really unique. It's impressive. Dusty May is checking off every box, it seems like, when he's trying to figure out how to get his team an edge. And that's stuff that they talk about in the offseason. They probably talked about, what if we go out to Las Vegas and we look like the best team in the country? Then what do we do? Where do we go from there? You got to get back to work. He talked about it in his post-game speech, which is up over on the Michigan basketball Twitter account. My only thought that I'll leave you with is Michigan basketball bad for the college game? Are they too dominant? You win by 40, you win by 30, you win by 40, you're 7-0, you're number 1 in KenPom. Nobody seems to be able to touch this team. Are they bad for college basketball like the UConn women were back in the day? We'll see you on the next one. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Head to thewolverine.com. This is going to be a fun season.